I recently found out that FDR's vice president was from Iowa, and he was pretty badass. And I have to admit, handsome. Obviously, I needed to know everything about him, so welcome to my deep dive on Vice President and Iowan Henry Wallace. Now, Wallace is someone that history often skips over, but he might have changed the course of the 20th century, if not all of history, if he had just a little bit more time in the spotlight. Henry A. Wallace, Franklin D. Roosevelt's second vice president, was a fierce advocate for the common worker, and a man who never stopped believing that government could be a force for good. Henry Aggard Wallace was born in 1888 on a farm near Orient, Iowa, and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. Wallace was raised in a family of agricultural thinkers and reformers. His grandfather, Uncle Henry Wallace, founded Wallace's Farmer, a progressive farming journal, and his father served as Secretary of Agriculture. Wallace's Iowa roots ran deep, much like his curiosity and sense of justice. He graduated from then Iowa State College in Ames, go Cyclones, with a degree in animal husbandry. But Wallace wasn't content just to follow in his family's footsteps. He always was ahead of his time, experimenting with hybrid corn before it was cool, helping to transform American agriculture with scientific innovation that made food production more reliable and resilient. In fact, he helped found what would become Pioneer Hybrid, one of the most influential seed companies in the country. But it wasn't just plants and policy that grew under Wallace's care, so did a deeply moral political philosophy. He believed that the wealth of a nation should serve everyone, not just the wealthy few, that workers, farmers, and the forgotten should have a seat at the table. Wallace served as Secretary of Agriculture under FDR during the darkest days of the Great Depression. He helped roll out New Deal programs that kept rural America afloat, stabilizing crop prices, conserving soil, and feeding hungry families. His approach was equal parts science and compassion. And then came 1940. Roosevelt, running for an unprecedented third term, chose Wallace as his running mate, despite fierce opposition from conservative Democrats who thought Wallace was too left-wing. It's true, Wallace was a true progressive in a time that the word really meant something. As vice president, he gave stirring speeches that warned of fascism at home and abroad. He called for a global century of the common man, a vision of peace, cooperation, and shared prosperity after World War II. But in 1944, just months before FDR's death, the Democratic Party's conservative wing maneuvered Wallace off the ticket. Instead, they chose a quiet, unknown senator from Missouri named Harry Truman. If Wallace had stayed on as vice president, he, not Harry Truman, would have become president when Roosevelt died in 1945. Imagine a post-war America shaped by Wallace's values: racial justice, economic democracy, and diplomacy over bombs. And of course, we can't talk about Henry without talking about Ilo. Ilo Brown Wallace was his wife, his partner in life, and another proud Iowan. She was born in Indianola and attended Simpson College. She had a fierce intelligence and a warm presence that grounded Henry's sometimes lofty ideals. Together, they represented a different kind of politics: principled, thoughtful, and rooted in the soil of the Midwest. After leaving office, Wallace did not fade quietly. He ran for president in 1948 under the Progressive Party banner, advocating for universal health care, desegregation, and peace with the Soviet Union. He was, of course, branded a communist sympathizer and ridiculed by the political establishment. But in hindsight, many of his ideas were more visionary than dangerous. Today, you can visit the Wallace Centers of Iowa in Des Moines and Orient to learn more about Henry Wallace and his family's legacy. They have an incredible mission that's worthy of your attention and support. Vice President Henry Wallace is proof that Iowa has always had the capacity to lead, not just in corn production, but in conscience. He believed in science, justice, and the power of ordinary people to shape a better future. That is a legacy worth celebrating.